Who's the most successful Premier League manager?
Ferguson.
And what was his tactical philosophy?
It was a changeable, movable thing depending on generation, squad and assistant.
Who's the most successful team in European football?
Real Madrid. And the same. Yeah.
Have we been sold a big old fat lie?
Hello, welcome to Stretford, Paddock. My name is Joe. That is Stephen Howson. And Steve, we've talked a lot about other managers at Man United. We've talked about who should come in. There seems to be a rotating, sort of revolving door of names that goes on here from Glasner up until recently. The likes of, I don't know if you saw Thiago Motta being mentioned by...
I did not. I thought Roberto Martinez's name got flung in and I did not enjoy that.
No. There seems to be an ever-widening list of names that are being talked about. But I do think that a bit more detail and a bit more depth on Michael Carrick is required at some point, because I think that we enjoy the results, we enjoy what's happening right now in these first 8 games. Obviously, maybe the last sort of few have changed some people's minds, but I think because of the results, we almost haven't spoken about him as though he was just another candidate, as though he was someone that actually needs to be assessed across all of his criteria. And I think Mark Critchley...
Does he though?
Well, that's maybe that can be part of the discussion. Mark Critchley did an article in The Athletic and sort of looked at and laid out whether Michael Carrick is actually the right guy for Man United across, the sort of criteria that we'd normally look at. And I want to kind of follow that route a little bit.
Seriously considered?
Apparently.
Right.
So apparently at the moment, that and they're going to say this, but the current line coming from the relatively reliable journalists is...
We're doing due diligence.
We're doing due diligence, but also they're very impressed with Michael Carrick. And, they aren't ruling out him getting the permanent job. It's not like unless he wins the league, it's not happening type thing. He has got a good chance. So have many or a few others. But just on the Carrick front, we've spoken before about potential weaknesses and all that. But I think if we just sort of go through it a little bit, in terms of the results, obviously that's been fantastic so far. Would you say it's misleading, it's a new manager bounce, it's not sustainable? Does it almost not count against him how well he's done, but does it almost feel as though it's sort of fairy tale, it's impossible, so you almost can't take into account the results?
No, absolutely not. I mean, new manager bounce isn't real.
Go on.
It's not a statistical thing. Everyone reverts to the mean. You might get a slight uplift in results, which some people go, yeah, that's the new manager bounce. But it always reverts back to the norm. Across
how many games, though? Have we seen that yet?
Yeah, well, Igor Tudor's is... Was there any bounce?
Took 0 games to go back to the normal, didn't it?
Yeah. So, I think that the thing with the new manager bounce is because it doesn't happen with every club and every single manager, it isn't a real thing.
Yeah.
It's not a universal thing, so you can just completely discount it. Now, there can be an improvement in results because of a fresh message, or in United's case, one player that was just completely out in the cold has come into the fold and that's helped change it. But because it's not like there's across all clubs, all managers, there isn't a new manager bounce. Yeah. There's better managers and worse managers and better fits and worse fits. I think Carrick's a better fit for this group than Ruben Amorim was, or his system is, maybe.
Okay.
Now, there's more than that happened. We've dramatically, if you look at the data, you have seen a complete shift of chances conceded, XG conceded. It's different. It's not just a smidge better. It's different. The back-to-back wins. We nearly had the geezer getting his hair cut. Ruben Amorim only just managed back-to-back wins in a year. You know what I mean? Within the first 4 games, we were 4-0. Very, very different. It's gone flat. And my worry is, I think we mentioned this the other day, when we've had 2 games back-to-back, is when he's dropped points. You can't pretend next season we're not going to be asked to play twice. And that's kind of my issue is when we've had 2 games a week and we've dropped points and we've seen him only play a different player when he's been forced to through injury outside of Sesko. You can't keep turning in the same 11. 1, because of rotation and fitness. 2, because of multiple games per week. But the same 11 is not the same answer for every single team that you play. That's a massive black mark against him for me. it is a results business. The results have been literally the best ever managerial win rate at Manchester United. Interim, non-interim, whatever. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's one block. But outside of Ollie's interim, it's literally unmatched by anybody. Sir Matt, Sir Alex included. That has to mean something. Him actually doing the job right now, even with the little asterisks of it's essentially a game a week, because it is.
Yeah.
And that is going to leave you with a better win rate than if you're forced to play twice a week. You might also figure things out faster. More input gives you, more turnaround. You get rid of worse players quicker. You figure out your best 11 quicker. You figure out who you can trust quicker, maybe. But I would always value the evidence of someone showing us what they can do and us being realistic about the realities of where this squad is versus the hypotheticals of anybody coming. Whether that's Sir Alex coming back, could he replicate them results at the moment with that team? We don't know. Could any other manager that's come in guarantee us better than what Michael Carrick has done with these 8 games? No. So you have to take into account someone actually doing the job is better than the hypothetical anybody. Because you can't prove to me what anyone would do. Jose Mourinho's a guaranteed winner, but is he though?
I mean, you get a Europa League and a Carabao, but that's not what we wanted him for, is it? I do agree with you on the new manager bounce thing. Some managers start their tenure at a new club really well, but loads don't. It happens all the time that people don't.
What is it? It's the confirmation bias. So people go, that's a new manager bounce.
Yeah, but look at United's last few managers. Amorim's start was shocking. I mean, the whole first year was, you could argue his whole time was shocking. The second season was a bit better. But that wasn't very good. The Rangnick was horrific in terms of a new manager bounce. Even Ten Hag he lost the first 2 games. I know that we then went on a good run after that, but the initial bounce was awful. We got battered in the first 2 games.
Did Edwards have a bounce? I don't think he did he? He lost his first few, I'm pretty sure.
Who?
Edwards at Wolves.
Oh, yeah. No, to start with, I think they started really poorly and have slowly sort of got better. And yeah, sometimes, as with all football clubs, teams tend to go on streaks. You'll have a good time and then a bad time, a hot time and a cold time. And you might start your managerial career on one of those hot times, but mostly or just as often that doesn't happen, and you build into it, or whatever. I do think that is definitely a confirmation bias thing, and we assume that any sort of success that happens early on is kind of to be dismissed and that it doesn't count. But like you said, things will average out over time, and if they average out that he's got a 55-60% win rate at United, that's as good as we've seen.
Puts him in the top 3 of all time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just on the player side of things, because that is a huge thing in terms of how he reacts and how he treats the players. We obviously don't really know, and you never really know until maybe interviews years down the line of exactly what was going on.
Any contemporary interviews will tell you that every manager that we've had puts great training sessions on.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
dead charismatic, because that's what they say. All of them come out in interviews and go, yeah, it's great. 10 years down the line, they go, yeah, he was shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what we do know from what we've seen on the pitch is, as you mentioned before, players playing in positions that, whether they like them more or not, again, that is just conjecture, they have played in more often throughout their careers. Bruno has played as a 10 more than he has as a 6. Mainu has played, at all, more than he's been on the bench. Even the likes of Mazraoui, Delot, Luke Shaw, most of their career was at fullback rather than the centre-back, fullback hybrids that they've had to be. And wing-backs in the look better.
Luke Shaw aside, they've looked better.
Yeah. But most managers play with 4 at the back. Most managers would tick the box of playing Dalot as a fullback and Mainu in midfield and Bruno as a 10. We've seen that. Does the way he's handling the players feel so sort of almost not rudimentary in terms of tactics, because we'll get to that, but just in terms of putting players in the right position? That can't be a huge tick for him because it's
Why?
It's
because you had a manager that wasn't doing that.
That's true, but he's the outlier, isn't he? I think Amorim is the outlier there.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also had Erik ten Hag, who had it was quite largely now a different squad, but there's a lot that are still here. A lot, from Maguire, Bruno.
Yeah,
there's plenty that are still here.
That back 4 that Carrick's starting a lot, Dalot, Maguire, Martinez and Shaw, was the back line that started Ten Hag's first game at United.
Right.
So it's not changed that much, yeah.
we were conceding 26 shots a game at some point under Eric Ten Hag.
Yeah, up there, yeah.
So that back four's been here now through 3 managers. This manager is the one that they're conceding the least of. Yes, it's more than a back four. It's less the keeper, actually, because the keeper just deals with the shots. He doesn't have any say in whether they get to the shot, usually.
Yeah.
Your midfield, your rest defence, your how you press at the front end and how you deal with losing the ball and transitioning into defence is how you prevent shots. And this current Michael Carrick, Steve Holland version of Manchester United is conceding less shots than, I don't even know. I would have to pull out some data and find out. I suspect probably Jose.
Yeah. It's been a lot better. I mean, one thing that I do think is worth talking about is the tactical approach thing, because we're kind of drifting towards that anyway, talking about the shots conceded and all that. People don't think that Michael Carrick is a tactical genius. That hasn't been the conversation around him as a manager. He isn't someone that has, when you look at a Nagelsmann, you look at an Enrique or a Hansi Flick or whatever. He isn't someone that has an obvious, modern, detailed, works well on paper kind of tactical philosophy, like, if you will. Is that something that's a problem? Is that an issue, do you think? Because we do tend to want that from our managers these days.
Do we, or do we just get told that that's what you're supposed to have?
Maybe it's that, but that's the narrative around football is
because
tactical genius is the ultimate.
The thing is, people confuse tactical genius with system dogma.
Okay.
De Zerbi I would call dogmatic to a system. Amorim I would call dogmatic to a system. I think Michael Carrick is, if you listen to some of the lads who know him, they seem to talk about him being a lot better in terms of the man management side of thing. And I think if you look at what Gareth Bale said in terms of Carlo Ancelotti and how they simplified training and it was a lot of managing egos. On one hand, that's Real Madrid. That's some serious, like Benzema, Ronaldo, Bale, Modric, Casemiro, Cruz. You're talking managing egos and getting them all happy enough to just turn up. Probably wins 99% of games. That's different to trying to get a tune out of Delo and that. So, on one hand, I go, okay, it's not apples and apples that you're comparing necessarily there. But there's still a big element of that man management and making people feel comfortable and simplifying the instructions is probably a bonus. I think there's probably been, when you listen to Steve McLaren talking about what he wanted Ronaldo to do, when you understand what Ten Hag or Jose, and we've gone through, outside of Solskjaer, seemingly, quite dogmatic, strict, I need you to follow these instructions, exact managers. Why do we need another system? Why can't we just have someone that goes and wins games?
I guess the immediate feeling would be one feels more likely to be repeatable than the other. Like, if you have a system and a framework and a groundwork that you can fall back on, in times of difficulty or when you're a little bit tired or when there's a lot of pressure on you, you have a set number of things that you're being told to do that you can repeat almost without your brain thinking about it. Whereas the sort of less heavy tactical stuff relies on you being fresher, being up for it, being, maybe less pressure, less fear, whatever, that one is more repeatable than the other.
Who's the most successful Premier League manager?
Ferguson.
And what was his tactical philosophy?
It was a changeable, movable thing depending on generation, squad and assistant.
Who's the most successful team in European football?
Real Madrid. And the same. Yeah.
Have we been sold a big old fat lie?
Well, I guess this most recent generation of managers, I think it's Pep, isn't it? We have to look at that. Because Pep Guardiola has had such a huge effect on what people think modern management is.
I think there's several things. I think that it's Pep and people trying to copy Pep, but Pep is a copy of Johan Cruyff, and Johan Cruyff was not as dogmatic as Pep with it.
Yeah.
He wanted players to have freedom, but he wanted them to understand he was a coach on the pitch. It was a pain in the ass. And I think he wanted players that could do that and play with freedom. I think you need to have, at the top level especially, if you look at the Manchester United and Real Madrids, I mean, even look at last year's title winners, Liverpool. What was Slot's philosophy?
Yeah, have Klopp's team playing with a little bit more relaxed. Yeah. But there's that work these days. Can you know, and in terms of all-time football geniuses, Cruyff might be number one across playing, management.
There's it's unmatched.
There you go.
In terms of both as a player and as a manager, no one comes close.
And the way he looked at the game and all that. But in terms of ruthless, continued success, Pep Guardiola has been a better manager than Cruyff has in terms of trophy cabinet, average league position, winning trebles.
You have to look at the budgets that were available.
Of course, I'm not,
to both as well.
but I just mean it's taken football to it's a different thing.
He was also dealing with things like the foreigner rule and things
of course.
That. There's reasons why maybe it was harder to dominate Europe than it was, and squad sizes and football is a very, very different game.
It is.
And Pep Guardiola has been allowed to and earned the right to hop from one behemoth to another. He's not going to take an Aberdeen to a European final and beat Real Madrid.
No, he's not.
He's never going to be required to do that. But he has done the things that he has done on an absolute shoestring, it must be said. He's only signed 11 players in the last 12 months. What do you expect?
How can he? I don't understand how he's doing it.
But there's more than him. I think you agree. People want to believe it's more repeatable if you have a system, but is it not more predictable for opposition?
Yeah.
I think there's a proliferation of laptops at football. Mm-hmm. I think we've got paralysis by analysis. I think people want to look at set plays, for example. Academies have begun to favour taller athletic children earlier. They favour players given instructions and less players figuring the game out and understanding the game. If you had to ask players now about who deeply understands game management themselves, now all players from the 90s.
I would say players from the 90s.
Yeah.
It was more, the onus was more on the players to sort stuff out and figure stuff out on the pitch.
Yeah, and in terms of leadership, when you look at a lot of those players and their understanding of the game, and you compare that to the players now, it's such a rarity to have a player that organises on the pitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that the way development has happened, the laptops, the analysis, the going over athletes over your technical players, I think that has led to the game that we have at the moment, which has led to the managers that we have at the moment. And because of the way that a lot of the players are coming through, a lot of them kind of need a manager that's going to explain the game to them and simplify the game for them, or give them very strong guardrails for how they play the game and make it these monotonous chess matches that rely on set plays or fixed patterns.
Yeah.
And we've taken the genius out of football, which is why it's fucking boring, because we're not seeing Zolas and Ginolas and Cantonas and Baggios and Zidanes,
Ronaldinhos
and Gazas and people like that coming through.
Yeah.
Gaza wouldn't have come through an academy because it had never passed the fucking fitness tests. But you can't deny the genius that he was with a ball.
But does to try and, not single-handedly, but if look at, so Real Madrid 7 or 8 years ago, when they had that mega team and they were winning all these Champions Leagues and they were winning a decent number of La Ligas as well, but not always. The problem with that is, if your team drops off a little bit in terms of its players, when Bale goes and Ronaldo goes and Benzema goes, and maybe any club would, with a Pep Guardiola at the helm or not, would struggle in those circumstances. At times now, they look miles off it. You watch them against Man City 2 or 3 years ago, that semi-final, quarter-final, second leg at the Etihad. They didn't touch the ball for 30 minutes. That's unthinkable with some of the great teams. But again, I suppose I'm sort of talking myself through this. Man City had Rodri injured and barely won a game for 2 months. So it's not as though they're completely infallible. And like you said, Pep's had to spend 500 million quid in the last 13 months.
Just to smidge ahead of this shit United team.
Yeah. So it is one...
And lose to us.
Yeah, and not be top of the league for 2 years. Is one that much different to the other anyway? I mean, it comes back to the thing we always talk about, which is you having the best squad is the most important thing. And maybe a Carrick at the helm of a really good squad can be successful either way. Just lastly... go on.
There's another point to that is, when you think about... I don't know if you'll catch my angle here, but when you think about what people always say about the likes of Pep and Jose, very dogmatic in an approach, even though the approach is different, but giving very, very detailed, deliberate instructions to players.
Yeah.
One offensive, or one with the ball, one without the ball. And you can't even call it offensive necessarily, but one with, one without the ball. There's a phrase that you always hear the players saying about both of those managers, which is...
I mean, loads, but intense, obsessed.
Yeah, it's the burnout.
Okay.
They're hard to play for.
Yeah.
Like, there's an emotional burnout with both of those managers. When you think about that Real Madrid team and all that they won, was there much talk of the emotional burnout? Do you not think they would have been under incredible pressure winning back-to-back Champions Leagues?
Yeah. There wasn't talk of that, no.
Was there much, Manchester United, when we were winning the treble, when we had the scrutiny of David Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo, did you hear players talking about burnout?
No. People like Scholes and Giggs and Neville, you never even considered that mentally they were struggling to do it. I mean, obviously they must have been, but that never felt like it was at the forefront of anyone's mind, did it? Maybe it's a different time, but it wasn't, because some of this we're talking about was overlapping with Pep and Jose. Yeah.
So if you had to look at actually what's repeatable and sustainable, the environment and the culture, I think, if you're spending, if you've identified a player and you think he's worth 70, 80 million pound, he can play football.
Yeah.
I believe. Now you can choose players with better leadership qualities. You can choose players with a deeper understanding of the game. One player I think actually has got both of these things is Declan Rice.
Okay.
If you ask Declan Rice to manage a game, do you think he knows in the last 5 minutes maybe not to do stupid passes without being told?
Yeah.
Not every player is that. You got some absolute head the balls, to be fair. But if he was on the pitch in a United shirt and you was going for something, do you think he would make the correct decisions to try and see a game out for you?
More often.
Would you have the
than
confidence
not, yeah.
in that? Yeah. So the players exist out there. So you wouldn't mind spending, 80, 90, 100 million pound on someone like a Declan Rice and having someone like a Michael Carrick empower him to do that and to play. Well, do you not think that there's probably 15, 16, 17 other players like that in the world that you can assemble all at one club? Do you think Bruno Fernandes can manage a game?
Mostly, yeah. Occasionally,
I think he makes a
stuffs
clanger
it
every
up,
now
but
and then.
yeah, mostly, yeah.
I think Lisandro Martinez?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, and makes no more errors than a Vidic did.
No.
Bit of a walking red card at times, but like plays on the edge. The same way Wayne Rooney did. I'd trust Wayne Rooney to see a game out for us.
Yeah.
Know when and when to do the right things. I think that's what you've got to do, is you've got to go and find people who understand the game, empower them to deliver the game that you want, give them a game model of how to react to losing the ball, because defending is a team sport. With the ball, I don't think, I say this as a coach, I don't think you can put patterns in and ask for shapes that you want to see. That's fine. But I can't tell you when to zig or zag. I can't tell you when to dummy a shot. I can't tell you when the 1-2 is on. You have to just put the reps in for that. You have to trust your own skill. I have to know that when the time is right, when you see a 6 metre space in behind a fullback that's come towards you, that you've got a tool in your locker to find yourself on the other side of that fullback driving into the box. I have to buy players that are going to do that. And then I have to trust those players to do that. And then my job as a coach is to prevent us conceding chances through shape, to choose the right players that are motivated, fit, and understand the way I'm asking them to play, and get them to the final third. Everything else is you guys. Go and score as a goal. You couldn't have told Eric Cantona how to unlock a defence.
No.
So why you sign him?
Just on that then, because it almost puts it sort of narrows the band of what a manager has to be able to do a little bit, although being a great man manager is obviously not everyone can do that either. Do you think Carrick can do those things if we are to accept that he's not going to be a Van Gaal or a Ten Hag or an Amorim or a Pep in terms of his intensity and his tactical approach? Because that's the other thing. There are tons and tons and tons of tactical managers who are shit or who will never get a tune out of Man United. Just because there's a Pep or there's a, whoever it may be knocking about, an Arteta, let's say, just because he's done well at Arsenal.
It wasn't long ago Thomas Frank was someone that was being seriously considered for Manchester United. That doesn't mean that most managers, as always the case, aren't that good and aren't worth doing. Do you think Carrick can do those things? And how much of it comes down to his stature, him as a player, him knowing Man United? Do those things add extra weight? If Pep had have, played at Barca and his first job had been at Juventus, would he have held the same
weight in the dressing room, would that happen? Would Zidane have worked if instead of managing Real Madrid as his first job, he was managing Arsenal?
Maybe it has more of an impact than we think.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some players sitting there going, you know what it's fucking like to wear this shirt. But when the guy that's standing in there, in Pep's case at Barcelona, pretty sure he was part of their dream team that won the European Cup. Almost certainly was.
I think so.
Zidane obviously won. I'm pretty sure he won the European Cup at Real Madrid.
I mean, obviously the goal in the final. Of course, the volley.
Was that a winning one though?
Yeah.
They was in several finals.
That was against Leverkusen when they won it, yeah, 2001. Or 2.
And then Michael Carrick at Manchester United. Literally got the lot, right?
Yeah.
It's got everything, including a Europa League, which not many have got.
No.
So anyone that's sitting there going, yeah, he's won more than I'm ever going to win. There's not many players that have got, how many titles he got? He must have 5.
4 or 5, yeah.
So it was 3 in a row. 07, 08, 09,
yeah.
11, 13. 5 titles. European Cup, Europa League.
FA Cup.
Just one FA Cup.
Yeah. Because we didn't win it from 2004 to 2016, did we?
Right. And he retired 17, 18. Yeah. So FA Cup, a couple of League Cups in there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Who is looking at him and going, is that all you've won?
Yeah.
At this club? There's not many that have got that CV. I mean, I think there might be 2 that actually have that CV. Yes, there's Scholes and Giggs and a couple of others have won more leagues, but nobody has got everything.
Well, Rooney's the other one, isn't he?
Yeah. So what can you say to him? And then you look at the rest of his team. Jonathan Woodgate apparently speaks Spanish, which is meant because he can barely speak English. But
It's a start.
What?
It's a good start, isn't it?
Johnny Evans, glittering career. Fantastic career. At Manchester United, it doesn't look that amazing because of the levels that everyone else hit. But if your mate was Johnny Evans, you'd be like, what a fucking lad.
Yeah.
You've got those 2 working with the defenders. Steve Holland clearly has got one of the better CVs as an assistant coach ever. It might be enough.
I don't know. It's just nerve-wracking. I just feel like it's...
Well, I did this morning in my morning.
You want a safer bet, but is there any?
Well, what's a safe bet?
I don't know.
And then how do you feel, right? So you close your eyes and I go, the new Manchester United manager has just been announced and it is signing a 4-year deal, Gareth Southgate.
That's not good, is it?
Just going to go throw up 1 sec.
That's not ideal.
Is that a safer bet?
No, nowhere near.
Right, okay, close your eyes.
Yep.
Okay, so Manchester United manager signing a 4-year deal, announced on the 1st of June, is going to be Roberto Martinez.
No, he's even worse than Southgate.
Signing for Manchester United on a 4-year contract, announced on the 1st of June, is Thiago Motta.
No.
Okay, Nagelsmann.
It's not a safer bet. He's done a bit more as a manager. He's won a bit more, obviously. He's managed Bayern Munich.
There isn't a manager where you go, oh,
Enrique's that one.
Really?
I think so. 2 trebles in his last 2 clubs.
One was at Paris, where the well don't run dry.
No. Basically, he won a Champions League with PSG. Is the treble there.
Yeah.
But even so, no one else can do it.
Poch, Tuchel, Blanc. Who else has managed there?
There's someone else who managed there that everyone always forgets. Emery.
All of them have got, I believe, 70% win rates.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So what did he win? 3 more games than anyone else?
Well, 1 more in the case of Tuchel, who got up to the final in 2020.
Right. So, but he won 3 more games.
Yeah.
Are we really going to gamble the lot on that? And Barcelona have won, trebles before.
Yeah.
And it was with Messi.
Neymar, Suarez.
Right. So there's 100 goals. Let's just start there. There's 100 goals. Can we not fuck it up at the back? All right, we should be all right. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I do get you.
This isn't Aberdeen in a cup final.
No, it's not.
This is starting on the 30-metre line and winning the 100 metres.
Yeah, it is. But still, I get your point. And maybe there is a lack of obvious people right now. But again, I guess the last 12 years has taught us that there isn't anything like an obvious win, regardless of who it is.
That's my whole point is, I don't know if Michael Carrick doesn't make me go, oh, yeah. Like, maybe Carlo Ancelotti would, but even that,
Yeah.
he's like, Because I would feel that they've gone back on the things that they wanted. They want to build for the future. You're not building for the future with a 70-year-old man. Like,
No.
you went to school with fucking Jim, for fuck's sake. No, so it's like, that doesn't really add up to me. There is no manager. None. I was gonna throw a joke in like Cantona, but no. There's not a manager that we could appoint where I would go like the way that I wanted Ancelotti or Jose in 2013. I might have ejaculated in my pants if we'd have got either of those.
Yeah.
And we didn't. We got David Moyes. And I couldn't even get a semi on. Like, there
That's
isn't
not
a
Moyes'
manager.
fault. That was a pre-existing condition.
Yeah, it was the diet.
Yeah.
There's no one on earth at the moment where that makes me go, oh, fucking, that's us winning the league next year.
Yeah.
And I actually said that when we appointed Louis van Gaal.
Yeah.
We appointed Louis van Gaal. We'd only won the league 12 months before. This team still got it. Don't fucking. We need a proper manager. You get a proper manager in. This team knows how to win. Everybody in this team still knows how to win, right? No, right? It didn't work with him. And he wins leagues.
Yeah,
He'd won it in Barcelona. He'd won it with Ajax. Won a Champions League with Ajax. He'd done bits with Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Didn't fucking work. Like, you have to have the right team and the right squad. We haven't got the right team. We haven't got the right squad. I think we're building towards it. We've done better with the recruitment.
Yeah.
But that's the most important thing. So there's not a single manager out there that I go, like, because that was the case with Jose, with Louis. I was pretty sure, listen, you get the right manager in, this team can win the league. There's nobody saying that. There's no one being like, I tell you what, that when it comes, we're champions next year.
No.
No.
Unless we had a remarkable summer. But even then, add those extra 15 games on next season, it's all up in the air again, isn't it? Right, cheers, Steve. Thank you as well for joining us at home. Get your thoughts in. Is it all about tactical vision? Is it all about structures and you stand there, or is winning games a lot more than that? And hopefully Michael Carrick can keep doing that the way we have been doing things. And that's not to say that Carrick just says go out there and enjoy yourself, because I think there's a lot more to it than that. He seems a lot more tactical than Zidane, which Bale basically said. Even compared to Ancelotti, Zidane sort of didn't really have any tactics, which is wild. Let us know in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts.
Maybe that's what made them so effective.
Maybe.
People's like, I know what they're going to do. And they're like, how do you know what we're going to do? We don't know what we're going to do.
We haven't worked out yet. We're working out now. Tell us what we're going to do and we'll do it. We'll see you in a bit.